Do the Minnesota Vikings have a Sam Darnold problem? Well, after nearly throwing 5 interceptions on Sunday against the Jacksonville Jaguars, while actually having 3 of them, it's a question that's on everybody's mind. But it's not exactly as simple as 5 interceptions, he's bad and needs to go. There's a lot of nuance to it. We're going to talk about that, along with some Cam Robinson insight and a lot more here on The Real Forno Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Real Forno Show, hosted by the one and only Tyler Forness. A to Z Sports sought him out to be their Minnesota Vikings reporter and NFL analyst. And he's a proud contributor over at SKOL North's Purple Daily. Tyler is also the captivating host of The Good, The Bad, and The Hungry on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, and a founding member of Vikings First and SKOL.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of The Real Forno Show. I'm your host, Tyler Forness. With me, as always, as soon as the producer fixes it, he is producer Dave, and he is in the top left corner. Dave, we are coming at everybody live a little bit later tonight, but you know what? That just means you had a chance to eat dinner, and now you get to sit back, relax, and enjoy some Vikings discussion. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Had a wonderful dinner, too. I had corned beef brisket with cubed potatoes and onions baked in the oven, broiled. Fucking awesome.
Ooh, I love me a good corned beef. Are you a guy that dips it in mustard or no?
No. Generally, no.
Okay. It's weird. I kind of like just a tiny bit sometimes, but man, corned beef just hits. It's so good. Mm-hmm. I gotta get my wife to eat it with me. I don't know if she likes corned beef, but man, it just hits differently. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Food Discussion with Tyler and Dave. But we're gonna talk about your Minnesota Vikings, and they are 7-2, and we should feel really good about that. One game behind the Detroit Lions, just got to beat them in Week 18, and we control our own destiny. Essentially, you win out, you get the division, so that's a huge plus. Yeah, I'm not calling for it. I'm saying if you win out, you control your own destiny, and I think that's a good thing. But let's talk about Sunday. You got to win your clunkers, and the Vikings, it had a really odd game because they were really good in all facets except execution in the red zone. 0-5 in the red zone. They only come away with 12 points. Sam Darnold nearly throws 5 picks, officially throws 3 of them. A little bit of an interesting game from that perspective. And kind of before I go into it, because I spent all morning watching Sam Darnold throw the football, watching the All-22 and trying to figure out, okay, what happened? What went wrong? What went right? And how much blame do we need to put on Sam Darnold for this loss? Because it's not quite as simple as, hey, Darnold bad when we need to put in Nick Mullins. That's not exactly yet. But it's also a more complicated answer than just a yes or no. Have you had a chance to go back and watch any of the film yet, Dave?
I've seen some clips. I have not done the All-22 yet.
So you go to, it keeps cutting out, huh? Okay. Well, that's not good.
Not on my end. You're fine.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I moved it just a little bit closer just to be on the safe side. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the passes in question. All right. So if you want to, my Twitter timeline at The Real Forno is loaded with clips, absolutely loaded with them. And I wrote an article for A to Z Sports talking specifically, Dave, about Sam Darnold and these interceptions, because it's not quite as simple as, hey, he stunk. Look, he wasn't great, but he wasn't bad either. It was a really weird dichotomy from that standpoint. So let's kind of talk about it. The first one where he throws that little in route to Justin Jefferson, Tyson Campbell's all over him. I think this decision is objectively fine. I don't love it, but it's also not bad. And kind of here's what I mean by it. It's quick game. You have Justin Jefferson. You throw it right at the numbers. It's Jefferson. You expect him to make a play. But the problem with this is you're throwing a 5-yard in route with a guy who's playing press coverage who loves to be physical. Tyson Campbell loves to be physical. You can't have that. You can't allow Campbell to be able to get in there and make a play. You have to be play smarter than that. You have to play more strategic than that. And the Vikings, well, they should call that at 7 yards. And I can understand, hey, maybe that's part of the playbook where you want that at 5 yards. Because if you look on the inside, TJ Hawkinson's running a slant to clear everybody else out, essentially to give Jefferson an isolated play where he should be able to beat the corner. But the way the Jaguars like to play, they like to play cover 2 and cover 2 man, which means that Tyson Campbell can just be all over and be super physical with Justin Jefferson. That is going to cause issues. That is going to cause the corner to be able to get in there and make plays. So when you have that, you prefer to not throw to that spot. But at the same time, that ball gets to the numbers. You can't really call it a bad decision because Jefferson's whole front half was facing right at Sam Darnold. The corner just tipped the ball up, made a play. Linebacker intercepts it. Kind of stinks. But the process in which he went about it isn't necessarily bad. And I think that's a big thing here. We're going to talk a lot about process. We're going to talk a lot about the why behind the play happening, the why behind the decision making, the why behind how the throw came out. There's so many elements of this context which will give you the answer to how Sam Darnold actually played football. And this one was I don't love the fact that it's a 5-yard in, but it's just kind of a product of the offense. It just kind of is what it is, for lack of a better term here. And sometimes you get a tip ball. It's just the cost of doing business in the NFL. And it sucks, but I'm not exactly going to say Darnold's at fault here. Yeah, Odie, I agree.
All right. If Sam's not necessarily at fault, he should have seen the coverage, should he not have? And chose to look to a different receiver or throw it away.
Here's kind of the way I look at it. It's probably best for him to throw the flat to the running back. That's what I would prefer here. But you have Justin Jefferson boxing out a corner. He's the best receiver in football. I'm fine with you throwing that ball. Sometimes that's just going to happen. It's a tip drill. And that's why I say it's like the cost of doing business. Because Jefferson himself, he's going to catch that 9 out of 10 times. It just happened to be the one that he didn't.
Well, the corner, it's not necessarily Jefferson's fault. The corner got his arm in between Jefferson's hands, and the ball hit his arm.
Mm-hmm.
Good defense.
What I mean, though, is he gets, the ball goes right to his chest, and he's going to grab that most of the time because he's got the box out. But you have a guy like Campbell who's got long arms, can get in there and make a play. That kind of stuff happens, but I'm not going to say that's on the quarterback. It was a good throw. That's what I mean by sometimes it's the cost of doing business. The corner made a great play. It got intercepted. You move on and you don't think too much about it. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not going to sit here and blame Darnold for it because it was fine. But that was probably the one where I don't think Darnold really had any blame. The rest of them, he'll have some, but it's not going to be the way you think. And I think that's really big here. So the second interception was that one in the end zone with Justin Jefferson running the in route, the dig. And so I watched it quite a few times, and over the time I watched it, I kind of evolved my opinion here. I think the decision is good. I think Darnold trying to hit Jefferson in the middle of the end zone is an objectively good decision. Here's what I think ended up happening. There was a miscommunication between how Jefferson was going to finish that route because he was trying to get open after the fact. He was trying to get open after the route was supposed to have been completed because Darnold had the ball for like 4 seconds. So it wasn't as if Darnold was in a position to it wasn't like Jefferson was, hey, I'm here, I'm stopped, throw me the ball. It's an in route. That's not how that works. That works that way with the hitch where you just stay in the soft part of the zone. This wasn't zone, this was man. And one of the big things was you could see after Jefferson runs that route, he starts cutting upfield like a couple steps. And then Darnold throws the ball almost as if he expects Jefferson to keep running forward, but Jefferson bends back out. And I think that is what happened here because you can see Jefferson's open. I initially thought if you lead Jefferson, that's a touchdown. But the more I watched it, the more I saw that little hitch coming up and then back out where I think Darnold thinks he's going to climb forward. So he throws the ball like it's going to climb forward because the way that ball drops, if Jefferson catches it like 5 yards forward, that's like chest or stomach high. Like that's an easily catchable ball for a receiver. So I feel like there's just a miscommunication there, which let's also be real. A miscommunication in the red zone, in the end zone specifically, it stinks. You hate it. It's not good. But that's kind of the vibe I got watching it. It's just they both thought that they were going to do the other thing, and it resulted in a pick.
Now, did you watch that on the All-22, and especially from behind the quarterback?
Yeah.
Did you notice that Brandon Powell was wide open to start off?
Oh, you mean to start off?
Yeah. Well, not to start off, but you had Darnold
you mean opening
back
up in the flat?
Before Brandon Powell was lined up on the right, came in, got pushed inward, sort of like a mini post. And then about halfway into the end zone, he's wide open. Darnold has a clear shot, clear view of him because the offensive line had blocked everybody away. Had a clear view, but it's obvious Darnold's waiting for Jefferson to come across. All he had to do was dump it off to Powell about a second earlier than he threw it. It would have been a touchdown.
See, I disagree. I've got the play up right here and kind of taking a look at it. The leverage that inside safety has, he jumps that. That's a pick. Like the whole idea of what Powell's route is supposed to be is to take that safety out of the play. So then when Jefferson runs behind that second level of coverage, there's nobody that can pounce on him. So because that safety has that inside leverage where he can just pounce on where Powell is, like that's not open.
That wouldn't have been if he threw it to anticipate Powell right at the goal line, once he's crossing into the end zone.
So there's a second problem here. I don't think Powell's a part of the progression. I don't think Powell is.
But he should have been.
But
he was open.
I disagree. I'm watching right now. He looks open, but there's a difference between looking open and being open because that safety is just going to destroy it. That like if you pull it up, Dave, I think it's 26.
I've got your clip up.
Yeah, that's what I have. 26. He's standing like right on the G, right as Brandon Powell crosses the plane because that inside linebacker right in front of him, like Powell goes around him because that backer takes Addison on that crosser. 26 is just going to jump the hell out of that. That's not open.
Unless it's right as he
it
crosses the goal line.
but that's the thing. He is
He
sitting
wasn't
there
looking at that
waiting,
point.
eyes on the quarterback. That's dead on arrival. Like, you can't throw that. You can't throw that at all, because that's just going to be an interception right away.
And for our
Like-
viewers, I put the link up to this in particular tweet with the clip.
Like, the big thing with the Jefferson one is you kind of want this to develop out. And you could argue, hey, hit Jones in the flat, but it's not like Jefferson wasn't open. He was definitely open. They just miscommunicated on how to get to that endpoint. And that's how you ended up getting the interception, which kind of stinks, because they had it. They had it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish they would have completed, because that could have changed the tone for the entire game over the course of the next, I don't know.
Right.
What, this would have been about 45, 50 minutes. Like, it just kind of sucks, but what are you going to do? Like, you had miscommunication. You talk about on the sidelines. It's over. Like, we could talk about, hey, this ended up being, like, you could have thrown to Jones in the flat. Sure. But
George asked, can you fix it?
oh yeah, you just talk about it, and hey, when we have this situation happen again, when your route is done, climb forward. Don't kick out. Don't continue your route toward the outside. Come back to me. When a quarterback scrambles, you're supposed to go back to the quarterback. So it's mainly, and this is one of the things that, like, him and Kirk Cousins would have had down. And sometimes when you have a new quarterback, it takes time. And I think that's a big thing here. You're not always going to have things perfect. And this was one of those instances. Like, I hate this. It sucks. But I'm also not going to sit here and tell you that, like, it's this humongous red flag. It just stinks. It is what it is. Let's move on to the third interception. So this one is really interesting, because the way cover 2 works, everybody knows it's the 2 deep safeties, right? And this is one I pulled the like vertical shot from behind the offensive line. So this will the end zone cam had it behind the safeties. You can see the safeties are deep, the linebackers are shallow enough, and there's this big gaping hole where if you have a good quarterback, you can just pepper balls in there and get 20 yards, 20 yards, 20 yards. It's not always super easy to make happen, but if you have the right players, you can do it. Addison's open. They're trying to hit Addison. The problem is Ed Ingram gets beat by Eric Armstead, and Armstead just pushes him back to where Darnold can't step up. And when you can't step up in the pocket, you sail the football. So this was a good read, a good route. He's wide ass open, but the throw was off, mainly because the pass blocking just wasn't able to keep up on this one like you would like. And they've kept up in a lot of different ways over the course of the year. They kept up in a lot of ways in this game. But Armstead just beat Ingram, and that happens. And that's where you get the ball sailing on you. Luckily, Addison got a little bit of a fingertip on it, changed the trajectory enough so he didn't end up actually getting the interception, because that would have really, really sucked.
I just posted the third, but the one you put, but really the fourth.
Yep. So let's go to the third interception. So this is the one that did count. It was Justin Jefferson's running like a sail route, which is it's kind of like a hybrid corner and out route, and you're running this one to the pylon. So you can run it to one of 2 places, the front pylon or the back pylon. No matter what, as a quarterback, you need to lay it out to the pylon and make sure only your guy gets it or nobody gets it. And with Jefferson, that's open. You can see, like, when he breaks, he's got separation. It's not much, but it's enough. And if you lay that out by the pylon, that defender's not getting there. And if that defender doesn't get there, that means Jefferson can. If he doesn't get there, oh well. You live to fight another day. The one thing you cannot do is throw it behind the receiver. That's exactly what Darnold did. He made a good read. He made a good decision. He made a bad throw. And that's kind of the theme here. And we're going to talk about that with this next one too. Bad placement.
Mark asked a question. He is forcing his throws to JJ, but is he being told to? Or is this a Sam, I found JJ, I can throw JJ catches everything, I'm going to throw to JJ?
I think it's more of the latter than the former. I think when you have a guy like Justin Jefferson, similar to what Randy Moss was, throw him the ball. That dude just open. They'll figure it out. And like this one, I don't even think was a force. I think it's open. And you got to remember, open in the NFL is different than open in college. Open in college, there's nobody within like 3 yards of you. Like that's just kind of how college football is with their spacing and how gimmicky offenses are and how they get people the ball in space. It's different. In the NFL, if you have a half a yard of separation, you're open. And the margins of error are significantly smaller. And because you have a smaller margin of error there, you have to be careful and you have to have a really good placement. This was not good placement. This was poor. And if Darnold just throws this out front, great play, touchdown. But he doesn't. He throws it behind. And
so you're saying Darnold's fallen in love with Justin Jefferson. I heard this weekend, it was blamed that Eli Manning fell in love with OBJ and would force the ball to OBJ all the time. To the detriment
I don't even see this.
The Giants.
That's fair, but I don't think that's the situation here.
Okay.
He had 9 targets. This was open. This was an opportunity to make a play. Was it as open as you'd like? No, but it's open. Like if this was to Jordan Addison or Jalen Naylor, I don't have an issue throwing that ball at all. You just have to throw it in the right spot. You have to get them in a good position to be able to make a play. They did not do that. Sam Darnold threw this ball behind the receiver, and it ended up being a major factor into why they weren't able to get a touchdown here. And it was the factor in the fact that, well, now it's a turnover. You have to place that ball right. If you don't, this is what happens. And it's a lesson every quarterback learns, but you would have hoped Darnold would have figured that out now. He just flat out missed. You can't do that. You just can't. All right. Let's go to the last one because this one probably made me the most mad of all of them. So this is the interception that ended up getting called back because Tyson Campbell got physical with Justin Jefferson past 5 yards, illegal hands to the face. So this is a deep post against cover 2. And it's there. Like they have hit this post so many times. They hit it with Addison a bunch last year. This is the same like route that Justin Jefferson was hit against the 49ers when he got the 97-yard touchdown. You throw this on the inside shoulder, splitting the hashes. Guess what? That's probably a touchdown. Or at the very least, you're going to have like an explosive play. Instead, he throws it back shoulder. The corner gets it. Interception. You can't do that. You have to throw with good placement. And it is hard to throw with good placement, especially when you're throwing deep. But you're an NFL quarterback. You have to do it. And one of the things that Kevin O'Connell did allude to is they got some footwork things to clean up. To me, this is just frustrating because you have an explosive. It's right there. You have one-on-one. Cornerback has outside leverage. You split him. The safeties aren't deep enough. Man. It's that one. That's a frustrating one because it's there. He just misses.
Oh, we said Sunday after the game that he was off target just a little bit.
Yeah.
All day.
And the big
and
thing I got
plenty
here,
other than these to show that.
Mm-hmm. The big thing I got here, process is good, results are bad. I'm glad that if anything, we're not fixing how he's getting to these decisions. It's just fixing the throws that he made. Because all these are none of these are bad decisions. A couple of these are really good decisions. He's just making bad throws. You fix the throws, guess what? Explosives. Guess what? Touchdowns. That's simple. And Kevin O'Connell's not going to replace him. People are going to say, hey, put in Nick Mullins. Pfft. Nick Mullins is worse than this. Like, Darnold is making better decisions than Nick Mullins. He's missing. He's missing. It's like when you're in a deer stand and you see a deer 40 yards in front of you. You know you should take the shot. You know you have a good shot. And you just missed 2 yards to the right. It's the same thing. He had all these.
You missed 2 yards to the right from a deer stand at 40 yards. You don't need to be in a deer stand. You're a danger.
Yeah. Okay, maybe 2 yards was a little too far. A foot to the right. How's that? That's probably a little better. A foot makes more sense. But this is kind of what you have with Darnold. You can fix some of the placement issues. Chevy Chase asks, so is Darnold processing forward as a QB? If he's not, what's the reason? If he is, does that mean he's growing or KOC is giving him easier assignment? I think the processing has been just fine. I don't think it's been great. I don't think it's been bad. The big thing here is you just have to be able to hit. What?
I've got your camera frozen for some reason.
Yeah, it's frozen on my end too. I'm not really sure why. But hey, you know what? You can hear me, so we're going to call that a win, and I'm going to try and fix it on my end.
We'll see. It may be closer to my end. We've been having internet issues tonight. And we still do. Shit. Well, it's maybe audio, mostly audio.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, my internet's way down. I don't know why. Somebody probably ran into a pole. Yeah, we're both frozen,
Yeah.
but can you hear us?
Yeah, if you can hear us, that's what matters here. Yeah, I'm not really concerned with Sam Darnold's processing. I'm not really concerned with his ability. We're gonna get some volatile play here. Oh, my camera actually just shut down.
Yeah, we got something. My download speed dropped to 160 and upload is way low. And we're pumping to 3 and it's at 5 megs. So, yeah, it's next to nothing. Something's wrong. Let's wrap this up.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's wrap it up. A couple things here real quick that I wanted to touch on. Cam Robinson had a good game. I felt 11 pressures allowed. Now I want to clarify, and we've talked about this with the Ed Ingram stuff, and I won't talk about Ingram. Spoiler, he was good again. But one of the big things here is not all pressures are created equal. Everybody has a different way of calculating what pressure is. And one of the big things with pressure is when they're not created equal, it's also when the pressure was allowed. One of the things I really like about using ESPN's pass block win rate is it helps you quantify time a little better when it comes to offensive line play. I don't think that it's the most important. I don't think it's the one stat you can use like religiously, like, oh, this is my go-to. Well, when you're talking about time and you're talking about how long players can hold their blocks, pass block win rate is a big one. Why? Because when you're able to hold that block for 3-4 seconds and then you allow a pressure, significantly different than allowing a pressure in a second and a half or 2 seconds, because your blocking assignment becomes that much harder. The whole point of offensive line is to lose slowly. And if you're losing slowly, well, you're going to allow pressure late in the rep. So if he's not allowing pressure quickly, these guys are not getting to him regularly. And I think that's okay. I have no problem with that. And that's just kind of the cost of doing business. They are asking these guys to play a difficult job on that offensive line. And they're playing it well. I'm not really that concerned. Robinson's going to have warts. He's not Darisaw. But 6 pressures, this is why pressure stats are not something that should be a main focus for you. You should be watching the All-22, really looking at the context of why. Why is this happening? Why are they having success? Why are they failing? Those answers are going to help you determine more on the offensive line. Just saying, oh, he allowed 6 pressures. Well, that's bad. Well, the context of those pressures, like Sam Darnold was sacked, 1 time? And he maneuvered the pocket extremely well, which I give Sam a lot of credit for. Like, these things all matter. These things all need that contextual element. And I think we don't do a good enough job on an overall level of giving that contextual element to the offensive line. So I want to shout out Cam because I thought he had a little bit of a rough game by not necessarily playing his best. And I thought he was getting himself out of position a little too much, probably because the guys he was playing, 1, wanted to beat him because they were teammates forever, and 2, they know his weaknesses better than anybody. But I also think he wasn't like catastrophic because you see 6 pressures. Whoa, that's a catastrophic game. Really, it really wasn't. I thought he was the worst of all the offensive linemen, but he was still good. And I think that says something.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we'll wrap it up. Nice little late Monday night episode of the Real Forno Show with some perfect video difficulties. But hey, you know what?
Hey,
I look good on the still frame.
Yeah, it's Spectrum, and it's showing outages, a whole ton of them up in Dallas and down in Houston and in Austin, where I'm at. So we still have signal. It's just way bad. We're talking an upload speed of 5 megs, and that's dial up. So, and we apologize for that, but it's out of our control. We do appreciate you listening to us, however.
Yes, we do. Thank you very much for joining, listening. We will have a lot more content later this week. Should have an episode of Scolders and Spice at some point tomorrow, and then the Real Forno Show back Wednesday night at its regular time, 6:05 Central. We greatly appreciate you joining us. And if you're listening on podcast, we appreciate you too. Give us a 5-star review. Make sure you subscribe. On YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all the fun things. It's a free way to help us out. In the meantime, I'm Tyler. He's Dave. SKOL Vikings, everybody.
SKOL Vikings. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notifications. It helps us grow this community that we all love, our Minnesota Vikings. And on behalf of Tyler Forness and myself, Dave Stefano, thank you so dearly for watching The Real Forno Show. SKOL, everyone!